Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the first ever hybrid Good Neighbor Day. This is our 9th annual Good Neighbor Day, and there's still one more person joining the Zoom. There might be some people still trickling in. We are very excited to be hosting this community-wide event, both virtually and doing in-person beautification projects around College Park today. Thank you for joining us for the first session with Dr. Wang on youth mental health during COVID. We're very excited for her presentation. Just to introduce myself, my name is Gulshan Jalali, and I am the Media and Digital Communications Coordinator with the Office of Community Engagement. I'm going to be starting off with just playing a welcome video with some opening remarks, and then I will pass it off to Dr. Wang to begin her presentation. So give me one moment while I share my screen. And yes, the session is being recorded and archived. And again, guest videos are, a question just came up in the chat. Participants' videos will be off and remain muted, and we are recording this session just to have for archival purposes to share out with others who were not able to attend the session, if that is okay with everyone. If you have a question or a comment throughout Dr. Wang's presentation, feel free to use the chat feature. You can also use the raise your hand feature if you'd like to request to be unmuted by Dr. Wang, if you would like to verbally make a question or a comment. All right, so I will just share a quick welcome video.
Elizabeth Hewlett.
Can you hear it, Dr.
On
Wang?
behalf of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, welcome to Good Neighbor Day 2020. We have been a proud partner of Good Neighbor Day for 8 years as we continue to provide healthy recreation options for our community. Each year, we look forward to joining you in rolling up our sleeves, using a little elbow grease to spruce up our community. However, just as with many events in our lives, COVID has forced us all to reevaluate but reimagine our programming. Thanks to Good Neighbor Day and our strong partners in the City of College Park and the University of Maryland, we can provide our residents with healthy opportunities to stay connected. We are Prince George's proud, resilient, and committed to engage in sustainable practices and pursue ways to keep our communities clean and beautiful. We are here and ready to serve. Stay safe, stay strong, stay hopeful, look out for one another, and be a good neighbor as we work together for a hopeful future for our community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Patrick Wang, Mayor of the City of College Park. I want to thank you for joining us today and welcome you to Good Neighbor Day. This annual event takes place to beautify our shared spaces, and the City of College Park does it in partnership with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission and the University of Maryland. Good Neighbor Day brings people together in our shared spaces to better our community and meet each other. You might be serving in your own neighborhood today, or you might discover a place in College Park that you've never been to before. It's a true measure of our community that, especially during these tough times, we come together and respond in service and partnership. So I want to thank you for taking your time today and for taking pride in your community enough to chip in and help. I also want to thank our partners at the University of Maryland and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Welcome to the 9th annual Good Neighbor Day, the first of its kind. This year's hybrid version of Good Neighbor Day includes virtual workshops and small-scale in-person projects focused on creating and maintaining vibrant communities, as well as educating and exciting our fellow community members on a variety of topics. The University of Maryland is grateful for the Office of Community Engagement, the Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation, the City of College Park, and every other partner that made this event possible. As a land-grant university and do-good campus, through collaboration and commitment to public service, we all demonstrate what it means to be Terrapin Straw.
Hello, and welcome to Good Neighbor Day 2020. Thank you so much for your participation. Good Neighbor Day began in 2011 when it was known as Christmas in April. We started with 50 volunteers and did home renovations. Over the 9 years since, Good Neighbor Day has grown into a strong local tradition. Hundreds of volunteers have helped many in our area. We have a wonderful partnership that includes the University of Maryland, the City of College Park, and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. This year, we have a very different kind of Good Neighbor Day with both in-person activities and online workshops. In person, we're going to be beautifying community gardens. We're going to be supporting local food banks through our food drive. And we're going to be doing cleanups in many communities. Our online workshops include financial wellness, mental health and stress management, answering the call to justice and community involvement, and talking with our University of Maryland student athletes about their experiences. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to our Office of Community Engagement for their leadership and coordination of Good Neighbor Day for many years. So thank you, Gloria, Jose, Gulshan, and Cameron. Also want to thank the many planners, coordinators, and volunteers who've made a commitment to Good Neighbor Day again this year. And lastly, I want to remind everybody to stay safe, exercise healthy behaviors, wear your face coverings, wash your hands, stay socially distant. And if you're not feeling well, please don't participate in person. Thank you once again. Now let's get started.
All right, excellent. So I am going to turn it over to Dr. Wang to begin her presentation.
Thank you for the nice music, whoever. And so welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to the talk today and as part of the UMD Good Neighbor Day. And I'm giving a talk on youth mental health in the time of COVID. And I am Cixin Wang, and I am an associate professor in school psychology at University of Maryland College Park. So for this talk, I plan to talk for about 45 minutes. Then I will have some time for questions. So feel free to type your question in the chat box. And I want to thank students and other colleagues in my lab. I'm the lead person for the bullying prevention and the mental health promotion lab at UMD. And so many students helped with this project. And so today we're going to talk about first signs and symptoms for mental illness. Then we're going to talk about understand children's basic needs and some common challenges during COVID. And I will provide some example of evidence-based parenting tips. So feel free to enter your questions in the chat box. And we want to start with think about how are you feeling. If you look at this picture, this comes from Yale University initially did a training in March, April, and they asked teachers how they feel. You can see like teachers are feeling very anxious, feel worried, uncertainty. And you can see small pieces, there's hope, there's joy and peace. So teachers feel overwhelmed, same as parents. And I'm a parent too. You can see I'm in my kids' room. You can see the picture on the wall. So parents have a huge job right now. So they are teachers, they are coaches, you might be the chef, you might be the therapist. So you have a lot on your plate. So as some of my colleagues at University of Maryland College of Education said that it's important for us we need to have some grace during such a difficult time. And we are not going to do this perfectly. So try not to compare your kids with neighbors' kids. Maybe this is the ending period now. So maybe you saw some B's and even C's on your kids' report card. And when you talk to your friend and then they say, my kids got all A's. So this is probably not a perfect good time to make those comparisons. And we are not going to do this perfectly, and keep things in perspective and go easy on ourselves is important. And this is not only me talking, and APA, American Psychological Association, did a survey with parents. They found that 80% of the parents in the US feel very high level of stress. And the Center for Disease Control did a survey with adults in the US in June and find that 40% of US adults reported struggling with mental health problems. So again, parents are under a lot of stress, and you are so important for your children's health, mental health, and success. So, and you care deeply about your kids. That's why you are here on a Saturday morning. It's very nice. You could be going outside, take a walk, but you are here with us listening to a talk on youth mental health. So you care so much about your kids. And so the talk today is really not trying to blame parents for anything. It's really trying to provide some alternative ways to think about success, think about parent-child relationship during this difficult time. And because you are so important for your children's health, and it's really important for you as well as for us as all parents to take care of ourselves. So those are some pictures that I found online, but you can make your own self-care menu. So what do you do to take care of yourself? Sometimes taking deep breaths and stretch and listen to favorite music, meditate and read book. So do some of that. You don't have to, we probably don't have time to spend an hour reading, but maybe even just 5 minutes stretching, listening to the song can be helpful. Because when we are really stressed out, our kids sense the stress and they are more likely to be stressed out and act out. So when we are in a better mood, we are able to better working with our kids. So we talk about COVID mental health for adults. Let's look at some data on kids. So Young Mind has done a survey. This is a UK study, but they find that 83% of the youth said that their mental health got worse during COVID. And some other studies find that common feelings during COVID for kids include feeling worried, helplessness, feel a sense of fear, have difficulty concentrating. So think about your kids have to sit through Zoom lessons from 9 to 3. It's like 6 hours a day. But when they are stressed out, it's very hard to stay concentrated and pay attention to the class, to the teacher and to the peers. They might feel they are bored. They might be irritable. So they might have younger kids might have lots of temper tantrums. And sorry, sometimes I have to let people in. And they might feel a sense of irritability, loneliness. And we did a survey with college students at Maryland, and we found more than 40% of the students feel a sense of feel depressive feelings and have difficulty during COVID. So give me a second. I need to admit some participants. Okay, sorry. So for people who just joined us, we are talking about mental health during COVID. So what did that say? So is this number like much higher than before? So this is some data collected before COVID in 2010. So this is an epidemiological study, and they look at mental health and in around 2000. So they find that mental health problem is not uncommon during adolescent years. Actually, that between age 13 to 18, you can towards the end, you can see this number, 49.5 adolescents experience some type of mental health difficulties. But having symptom doesn't mean that you have a mental health disorder. But there's about 22% of adolescents between age 13 and 18 experience some severe mental health problems and have severe impact. So before COVID, about 22%. And after COVID, if it's about 40%, that kind of suggests mental health problem is increasing during COVID. So what are some signs and symptoms? Parents always ask. So is this normal, or is this typical development during just being a kid, they are being moody, or is it depression or other signs and symptoms that I need to pay attention to? So this is a picture that from a children's book collected, published by Asian American Health Initiative in Montgomery County. And so they invited a group of adolescents and wrote about their experience. So it's a book called Stressed. It's a little booklet about depression. So those are some signs and symptoms for depression. So you can see it include mood-related symptoms such as depressed or sad mood, irritability or moody. And you see irritability a lot more with boys than girls. And boys might not be depressed or sad. They might just be really irritable. And they feel a feeling of hopelessness, decreased interest or pleasure in activities. So your kids might enjoy playing soccer or playing music or read books, but for some reason, they are becoming not interested in anything anymore. So there's nothing bring them pleasure. Then that is definitely a warning sign you want to pay attention to. But it's okay if they say they don't want to play soccer anymore. They want to do taekwondo. That's fine. If there's a change in interest, that's fine. But they decrease interest in certain activities and they are not interested in anything else, that is definitely a warning sign. There's also some cognitive signs and symptoms. They might have those negative beliefs about themselves. So for example, they might think like they are a burden to the parents. They have failed their parents. My parents spend so much time and energy on me, but I'm such a failure. They will be better off without me. So those thoughts are really, you can say that they are distorted thoughts. They are not true. But when kids are depressed and they are not thinking straight, and they make those thinking errors, and they can go down a spiral and get them into a very bad place. And some other signs and symptoms include behavior signs and interpersonal signs. So behavior-wise, they might have difficulty paying attention, stay focused during class. During online class, they just cannot look at the screen for that long. They have difficulty. Or they have decreased interest in activities. And you might notice them fighting with you a lot, arguing with you a lot, and not only with you, but with their friends, with their siblings. And there might be also social withdrawal. They lock themselves in the room and don't have social communication with anyone. And some younger kids will have somatic complaints. My head hurts, my tummy hurts, but you take them to the doctor and their pediatrician say they are fine. Then you will want to think about what are some other emotional related reasons that contribute to somatic symptoms. And changes in eating and sleeping pattern, like not able to sleep or sleep too much, like not able to get up, or not eating or eating too much. Both are signs and symptoms for depression. And you might also find a lot of difficulty. They experience difficulty with social interaction. Some parents might ask, why is my child depressed? They have food, they live in a very nice house, they have all the toys, and why are they depressed, right? They don't have a reason for depression. You might feel that way. But the reality is individual from all walks of life experience depressive symptoms. So it's not a matter of income high or low, education high or low. And the psychologists consider this model called biopsychosocial model for mental illness. So kids, adolescents and adults experience mental health because three main type of factors, like biological factors. So basically that's the genetics. And so twin study have found very high correlation between twins in mental health symptoms, meaning there is a genetic reason for those mood symptoms. And there's also psychological and psychological factors, such as their temperament and some personality and their thinking patterns. So some people are more pessimistic. Like if you see a cup of water, you might think, sorry, that's the picture. You cannot see the water, but some parents can, if you see a glass, you can say, okay, this is half empty versus half full. So some people look at it and the first thing come to their mind, the cup is half full. And other people might saw this and think it's half empty. So it's like a pessimistic orientation versus a more optimistic kind of personality. And the social factors like stress in life and cultural factors, stressful life event. Like during COVID has been a prolonged stressful life event for many of us. And that's why the data you saw earlier and CDC data as well as APA data suggests there's increase in mental health problems during COVID. And symptoms might look different. We also want to keep in mind that symptoms might look different for different people and for adolescents versus adults. Teens may look outside, kids might look fine outside, but inside emotionally, they may be really struggling. And you need to seek, so this is the time to seek professional help. And no matter what, and parent-child relationship is the key. That's why I will provide some tips about parenting, parent-child relationships. So I want to reiterate some indicators of an emotional crisis. So you might notice kids, they are neglect of personal hygiene to a very severe degree. They never shower for a whole week or more, and they smell. And so, but normally kids, it might be harder during COVID, but in a regular life, and the kids go to school, and usually they care about their appearance and they do take care of their personal hygiene. And dramatic change in sleep patterns, like we mentioned, significant weight gain and weight loss, and decline in performance in school, and pronounced change in mood. So as parent, you know what your kids is like. So when there is a profound change, a big change in their mood, maybe especially if they can become angry, irritable, anxious, or sad. So that's some kind of that's a warning sign. And the withdrawal from daily routine activities and the relationships. So if you believe something is wrong, you are probably right. You are the expert for your kids because you are with them a lot more than any teachers or psychologists can. So if you notice those signs, and it's a time to seek help from a psychologist or from a counselor. And if you notice those warning signs for suicide, especially the last one, like if they are making plans or other preparations, like they are giving away their jerseys, they are giving away their pets. And so if they are talking about suicide, they are writing about it in their essay, or they are posting it on their Twitter account. So you want to pay attention to that. And so here you can see National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So this is 24/7, and the kids can call, and they can text. Just text 741, text home or text help to 741-741. So that's a national hotline, and it will connect you with a professional counselor to talk to the kids. As a parent, if you are worried, you are not sure if this is a mental health problem, if my kid is suicidal, you can call this line, and then you can talk to the counselor over there. Then they will give you some tips, or they will be saying, if you cannot make an evaluation, they can help you make an evaluation over the phone with your kids. So even though there is an increased risk for mental health symptoms during COVID, but help is available. There's hotline. You can also talk to a pediatrician to get referral to see a psychologist or a counselor. You can talk to school-based mental health providers. So, but please do seek help when you see those signs and concerns. So next we're going to switch topic to talk about children's needs and challenges. So this is a psychologist, Glasser. He talk about children's basic needs. As human beings, we all have those basic needs. So there are needs that is very hard to meet during COVID, such as having fun. And but we as human beings, especially kids, they want to be able to have enjoyment, laughter, and change and fun in life. But we might also, there are things we do during COVID that meet our survival needs, but are preventing us from having fun. Like in order to survive, we are social distancing and preventing kids from having fun. And maybe they are having difficulty maintaining relationship with their friends because of the social distance. But keep in mind that we have all those 5 different needs. And playing video game is fun, but think about what can we do together and have fun together. And on the other hand, that kids want parents to be proud of them. So if you think about the cognitive errors we were reading, the kids feel bad about disappointing their parents. They naturally want their parents to be proud of themselves. That fulfill the needs of power. They want to be recognized. They want to be successful. They want to feel a sense of importance, like they are important, they are able to help, and the parents feel proud of them. But they also want to feel the sense of freedom. They want to be able to make choices. And especially during adolescent time, they want to feel independence and freedom from and certain requirements and freedom to do some things. And thinking about this example, and again, this is from the stressed out booklet that made by high school students in Montgomery County. So they give an example of Sophia. She's staying up late. She finds herself unable to sleep. Instead, she binge eats and bring herself some comfort and goes online. And it's 3 a.m. now. And say, I'm so stressed out and I'm overwhelmed about this test. Then other kids say, like, but you are obvious so smart. And why are you freaking out about this test? Then she's feeling like they don't understand me. So most kids stay up late, especially during COVID. A typical adolescent spend 7 hours a day on social media, and they spend a lot less time sleep when compared with what they are expected. And then as parents, we need to think about what needs are being met or not met. So Sophie is online because she wants to meet her social needs, right? She wants to feel a sense of connected, sense of belonging. And she's worried about grades. She wants to do well on that test. And because she wants to be recognized and she wants to be proud of herself and parents to be proud of herself. But she's not meeting certain other needs in this example. That's why she might feel bad. And so this is another quote from kids. So some teens say that I'm not addicted to social media. I'm just addicted to my friends. So because of the COVID, their interaction with friends are very limited. And social media provides a platform for this type of interactions. So how can you work with your kids and figure out a better plan and balance the screen time and the work time? So this mom gave a really good example. So this mom says, I know you want to spend time with your friends online, and I'm worried about your sleep and your mood. Please tell me how you can get off the screen, and because I think sleep is really important for you. And let's brainstorm together. What else can you do to maintain relationship with your friends? What did you notice in this quote? Do you say these similar things to your kids, or how will you normally respond to your kid? First of all, you see that there is an and instead of but. A lot of time, like I might be saying, like, I know this is important, but you need to do your homework, right? So when we say but, and it makes it kind of change the topic to a negative and. And when you say and, both part, I know you have this need, and I am concerned. They are both important. You are more likely to have kids listen to you if you use and instead of but. And the second example is much better than the first example because the first mom is really blaming, right? You are wasting your time when you're playing video games. You need to spend more time on your schoolwork. Your kids probably will not say, yes, okay, I will do that. And they really need you to listen to them first and understand them first. And because we are talking about fun, so we want to ask kids what they think is fun. So and parents might think certain things is fun, but kids might think, no, that's you are outdated. So you might want to ask them what they like to do, right? Some family might do a trivial game together and they make a game together and they play together to have fun. And it's also foster the family relationship. And for younger kids, you might dance together. And COVID provides an opportunity for us to be creative and have fun together as a family because we have a lot more time together. And in a study published by Maryland, they find that having pets is actually helpful and have fun for kids and adults during COVID. And this is another idea that some kids find to be fun. Like this is from the Family Dinner Project at Boston Children's Hospital. They collected a recipe And they also connect the recipe with family stories. So you can show kids and adults. Research show that kids and adults who are more familiar with family story are more resilient, possibly because of the sense of belonging. And many of us have ancestors who lived through some of the worst moments in history during the war, immigration, even other outbreaks and disease. So you might live through SARS or H1N1. So you have some comparison. And those stories can be particularly helpful right now and could give everyone in the family much needed perspective on how to get through the hard times. So maybe remembering great grandma's struggle will be just what you needed to get through the COVID. And in addition to fun, we still need to meet our basic needs, right? So, and maintain a daily routine as a family is important. Sleep time, wake time, meal time, routine, work time, relaxation time, and bedtime. And this might be easier, but sometimes as adults, we are role models for our kids. So how much time we spend online. So if you look at your phone and the iPhone does a track and they will tell you how much time you spend on phone. So while parents complain kids are on the phone a lot, many adolescents in the US also complain that parents are on the phone a lot. And so if we want kids to take time to relax, to go to bed on time, we want to model that too. And some other challenges during COVID is like, especially for younger kids, Zoom class from 9 to 3 is a lot. Psychologists show that children under 8, they can only pay attention for 15 minutes straight at a time. So they really need frequent breaks. And Zoom fatigue is real. And they also experience social isolation and a lack of physical activities. And what are some other challenges during regular time? One part for our adolescents. One is that their brain is not fully mature. Do you know when our brain reach full maturation? Like, is it 15? Is it 20? Is it 18? Right? Even though during adolescent years, there's a lot of pruning and myelination going on, but adolescent brain is not fully mature until age 25 to 30. So the region in the prefrontal lobe, which is responsible for making good decisions, making planning, assessing risk, that part is not fully mature until much later. And but so for kids, that explains why they might really be struggling to avoid the temptation of social media, to go to bed at a reasonable time, because their prefrontal lobe is not fully mature to help them to make those planning and judgments. But a better parent-child relationship enable you to better help them and enable them to listen to you more. So here are some other challenges we heard from adolescents. That's before COVID. So kids might say that their parents have very high expectations and they want them to get all A's and no A minus. And when they bring home a test with 99% grades, and parents focus on the 1% the kid missed. As a result, their kids might feel like, in your eyes, I'm not good enough. And you always compare me with others and make me feel anxious or awkward. So if we use this analogy, think about if you are this A person and you said that I got a promotion today, I will be the director of my unit and it comes with $1,000 bonus. Then someone else said, your friend or your family member said, only 1,000? I heard Amy got a $5,000 bonus. How will that make you feel? What can the other person say instead? So we might not be the person B, but we sometimes do that a lot to our kids. So the kids might say that my swimming score improved by 2 seconds, and parents say, good. But I saw, see again, this is but, right? But I saw Tom's score improve by 5 seconds. Tom is always doing better than you. You have to try harder. Then do you say that? And sometimes we might be the person who's saying this because we want our kids to do better. We want to push them to their full potential. But if we think about how will the kids feel in that situation, and what can parents say instead, so that you can encourage them and acknowledge their success first and fully, then think about something else they can continue work on. And again, this request is from kids based on some essay contest we did in Montgomery County. So they said that kids said what we really start for from our parents is a listening and understanding heart, accepting us and appreciating the way we are, product of the society they choose to raise us in. So this, like active listening, listen to the kids, being empathetic is really important in kids' perspective. And the parents and the kids also need to compromise on topics they don't agree on. And I am an immigrant myself, and there are things that I disagree with my kid, and but sometimes we will need to both compromise. And some skills I want to mention is how to listen non-judgmentally. So this is something we train our students to be school counselors and school psychologists. So this is the first class they take. They need to learn how to listen. So it's a lot more complicated, but I'm giving you a very simple example. You can show you are active listening by briefly paraphrasing or repeating the main point of what your child is saying. So maybe you can say that, I can understand why this makes you so upset. And maybe your kid is saying like, I want to go back to school. This Zoom class is really hard. I don't want Zoom class. I want real class. Then you might say, okay, I understand why this makes you upset. And working from home is getting really old for me too. And it's okay you feel angry right now, or it's okay if you feel sad right now. And here is another example. So the kid say, Mom, Derek's parents got a divorce. He has been skipping school this week. The mom said, I told you not to hang out with Derek. He's a troublemaker. Hang out with Tom. He's a good student. What can mom say differently? And how would that make kid feel? So this is a better example. So mom might be saying that, really? It sounds like you are worried about Derek. Derek must be really sad. So that sentence shows your kid that you are listening, you hear them. And another thing for parents to consider is sync. So if your kids are in high school, a lot of schools have cyberbullying curriculum, cyberbullying prevention curriculum, and they teach kids to sync before they post anything online. So you need to think about if this is true, if this is helpful, if this is inspirational, and if this is necessary and kind. And so be aware of your feeling and think about how you feel. And if your kids during a conversation, a lot of time we might get upset because kids say something. And then we might say, okay, you never listen. You are always disrespectful. You never do your homework. Whenever we say never, we need to think about if it's true. More likely than not, it's not true. Even if your kids really struggle with school, there must be time that they do homework. There must be time they did a good job. And here are some other examples to show empathy. So you must feel so frustrated. I wish you didn't have to go through this, especially if your kids say like, I'm so tired of Zoom school. So you might say that I wish you don't have to go through this. I know this is getting really tired. I feel the same way you do I will feel the same way as you do in your situation. And that sounds so embarrassing. You must have felt like thinking through the flaw. So those are ways that you can show your kids that you are listening, you are hearing them, you are trying to understand them. And besides showing empathy, it's also very important to recognize children for their effort and accomplishments. We said that one of the basic needs is that they need to feel a sense of power. And that means they want to feel their parents are proud of them and they are doing a good job. So I encourage everyone to think about when was the last time you praised your child and what did you praise him or her for? So researcher has shown that anything kids experience as rewarding, like winning a match, getting recognition by parents, leads to a sense of accomplishment. And it leads to a higher level of dopamine in the brain, and it contributes to motivation. So if you want to motivate your kid, you can do so by recognizing their effort and accomplishment. And especially praise the process and effort is better than just praising them for getting 100%. And the research psychologists has actually shown that there is a ratio between positive to negative. So the sum of positivity in a system divided by the sum of negativity in the system is called Rosetta ratio. And when this ratio is between 3:1 to 6:1, you have higher performance. But when this ratio is too high, you have like a lot of praise and very little negativity. So that's dangerous too. And but if on the opposite side, I think a lot of parents may be on this ratio of 1 or like even lower ratio. That means that your kids have a lot of negativity in their interaction with you. And that is dangerous too. So then they don't feel proud of themselves. It's hard for them to build their self-esteem if they feel very negative all the time. And you can express love through recognizing your kids and praising your kids. This works. This is an example we use when I work with young kids. So there are different ways parents can praise them. And you can see the content on the right is the things they are praising. It's not necessarily about praising for good grades. And a lot of time is praising for the specific things like drawing a picture for a sister, asking politely, and saying thank you. Talk like a 6-year-old. And you can also hear some other example of using very specific praise, like praise the specific behavior and the process instead of the journal or the product. Like you can say, like, I'm really impressed by your hard work researching for this topic. Your curiosity is fun for me to see. So here you are not just praising them for writing a great essay. You are pointing out the process. They are doing research for this topic and they are curious about this subject. And if you have older adolescents, like when they go to college, they need to do their own research for their professor for the papers. And the kids need to be curious and to do their own research. And you won't be the person who's behind them say you should write this, write that, right? So, but when they are young, if you praise them for their curiosity, for them doing research and putting effort into practicing, and they are more likely to engage in those behaviors when they are older. And you might say that, I like the way you start, your essay started by describing the problem and explaining why it's important. And sometimes those specific praise is actually hard because you have to observe them and you need to notice what they are doing. And but those praise are a lot better, and you are more likely to reinforce those specific behavior than the general things. Let's look at those 2 examples. What's the difference? What are some things you notice? So you can see that the second example have a lot of I and the first one has a lot of you. So psychologists really encourage kids and parents to use I statement. And some teachers also do that. You might see in elementary classrooms, some teachers are teaching kids to use I statement. So basically we encourage you to say, I feel, add a feeling first, then you say why you feel this way, then and you say what you need. So you might say, I feel disappointed when you lie to me because it makes it hard to trust you. And I want us both to be able to trust one another, right? So here, instead of say, you lie to me, you are such a bad kid, I can never trust you. You actually use a more calm way to express your feelings and the rationale, as well as what you need is like what they can do to make it better and what you wish to see. And so you might say, when you are texting at dinner table, I feel ignored. It is important to me that we spend time together at dinner without technology. So in this way, you are less likely to have confrontation because it's hard for someone to argue with you, say, no, you are not feeling ignored. No, you are not feeling disappointed because your feeling is how you feel. And you are not blaming them using you statement. This is the last strategy I want to talk about today. So problem solving. So in addition to using active listening, using I statement, sometimes that we still have problem at home. It can be an argument about screen time. And problem solving is the act of identifying an issue and coming up with possible solutions. So it's not used to prove you are wrong, you are right. So there are some, and so it's not to prove I'm right. It's really to protect relationship and solve a specific problem. And remember where your kid is developmentally. Their brain is not fully developed for impulse control, expressing emotions, and perspective taking. And problem solving can be a good way to teach them and to communicate their needs and wants. So usually the first step is actually to stay calm. If you feel like you are really upset, it's probably not a good time to have this conversation. You need to take some deep breaths to calm down. And you want to identify the problem first. So maybe the problem is you are worried about your kids spending too much time online. And then you want to brainstorm solutions. So step 3 is really important. You want to make sure that they come up with some solutions and you come up with some solutions. And then you can make a list of pros and cons and pick a solution from the list and making an action plan. Then you review what happened. So because the first step is stay calm, I want to point some breathing techniques. So you can do is like you can count to breathing, try to maintain a ratio of 2 to 1. So you inhale, count to 4, and exhale, count to 8. And so you can also use self-talk. So you can say like, Cixin is my name. I say, Cixin, you can do this. You can calm down. And or you can, like, this is another example. If you are really worried, you can say like, you are following all CDC guidelines to stay safe. Or you can ask your kid to think about it from a different perspective. If your kid is very worried or upset about something, what will their friend say? Or what will they say to their best friend? And so those coping strategies need to be taught, and because it's not something that kids learn naturally. Some kids are really good at learning it, but other kids need some support. And they also require practice. Just like a good writer needs a lot of time to practice writing. And someone who's very good at coping needs time to practice those strategies too. And it needs to be evaluated and refined. And you also need a toolbox because plan A might not work, then you will need plan B, plan C. And different coping strategies are also very specific to different people, to different personality, family background, culture, and situation. So here are some resources that you can talk more about it. And there are other times that we might just have to accept the situation we cannot control, but focus on what you can do. So we cannot control the action of others, but we can control what we do, right? Our own positive attitude. And we can control that we turn off the news and the social media sometimes. And separating those things can help reduce the stress in our life too. Last part is about practice gratitude. And the second example was from Dr. Xie's talk and from parents who participated in her talk. They said, one dad said, my son was very interested in watching cooking shows instead of doing his schoolwork. I was really mad. But then I reminded myself, relationship is more important than schoolwork now. Then the kid surprised parents by making a big meal for the family. So the parent is expressing gratitude in the friend group. So sometimes that if we can pay more attention to those positive things, that's also helpful. The last point I want to make is important to seek professional mental health services and help. So free confidence and suicide prevention, like the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is free and confidential services. And SAMHSA has national helpline, and Children's National Regional Crisis Center also has helpline. So there are a lot of resources. And if you do experience mental health difficulty for your kids, please do seek help. And I want to make a final remark. So never lose the opportunity of a crisis. So COVID may be the opportunity to get our priorities straight and to really think about how can we better use this time we have together as a family. We are gaining a lot more time with our family during COVID because we are all at home. How can we use this opportunity to rethink, to get our priorities straight? And I will post the slides through the Good Neighbor Day, and you can see there are some other resources. So if your kids like to use apps, there's a COVID coach app. It's free, and they teach you how to manage your stress, and they also do a mood check. So it's like a screening, so you can see like how normal or elevated your mood may be. And here are some resources for the national hotline. Thank you very much for your time. And this is my end of my talk. And we have a few minutes. And if you have questions, and feel free to enter in the chat. Again, thank you very much for all the parents who participated. And as Goshen said, that we'll post the recording on Maryland, the Good Neighbor Day website. And I will also try to link it to my website and together with the PowerPoint. Any questions?
I just have a question. So I joined your seminar later, so I may miss some important points. And I really like the last few PowerPoint is very, kind of has the guidelines, very detailed. I think is very helpful. But the question is, if you see the kids is playing a game, it's hard to stop them. What's the best way to do it? You just you just remind them, then you walk away, or just stay calm, and when you remind them they don't stop, then you just wait until the next day to talk with them. So I think it's hard to really control and to stay calm, to see them to stay there for many hours.
Yeah, I think
what's
I know
your
this is definitely a very hard topic now. I think I'm still going to go back. Can you see the slides? So
Yes.
I still think we need to think about the needs, right? So kids are engaging in this behavior because it meets their needs. So their needs to having fun is important. So acknowledge they do have these needs, and adults like us, if we think about ourselves, we probably, and before I go to bed, sometimes I'm tired, I'm bored, I need to go to bed, but I still want to go on to my chat and check my friend, like 朋友圈, like even it's probably not the best thing I did, right? And so there are times that we might do things just to have fun, and it doesn't really help in other way. But keep in mind, having fun is still important. If there's no video game and there's no TV, there's no social media, and we are stuck at home, life will be even more painful than now. So I think we do really need to think about, to recognize that having fun is important, but also encourage our kids to think about what are some other ways to, what are some other ways to have fun together, and what are some other ways for them to maintain connection with their peers, but also maintain a balance. So you can say, like, I know it's really important for you to play this Fortnite game with your friend, and I also think it's important for you to get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, you will be very tired, or you will not feel good tomorrow. So what can we do together so that you can maybe play less during the weekday, and I will let you play more during the weekend? So it's like a compromise you guys have to make it together. And for younger kids, it's easier. Like if you know there are other things they like to do, like if you don't play video game, I will let you do some other fun things. I will have play dates, or I'll take you to the park. And for older kids, like they might have very specific way of fun, but you still want to engage them and figure out what are some competing things that they like to do, and that they can have fun with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, doctor, do you have the contact information or some links so I can follow up with you later?
Yeah, I have my email at the end, but I will type my email in the chat.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Sure. I will. And I think another parent had a question about rhodatic ratio. So I'm just pulling up to this slide. So basically, this kind of talk about When we experience more positive feedback than negative feedback, we are more productive. So this is not only study with kids, I like study with college students and with managers, nursing home residents. So there's a lot of research done on this. And you can see the green part is the positive to negative ratio between 3:1 to 6:1. So that time people are more productive. They hear better, they see better, they remember things better. And think about school, kids need to remember a lot of things. But if they are in a more positive state, they are better at doing schoolwork, pay attention to the teachers, remembering the algebra, geometry, and the calculus they need to remember. So when they are in this, when they have more positive things in their system, they just do better, pay attention better. They are also in a better mood. So in order to do that, like, you cannot control other people's feedback. You cannot control what feedback they get from their teachers or their friends, but you can control what feedback they get from you, right? So you want to provide some positive feedback. And so you can say you are doing a good job. You can say, I like it when you do this. It's really neat that you do this. What a wonderful idea. Nice job. How sweet of you. You should be so proud of yourself for doing this. I'm proud of you for doing this. And I'm so happy with you for a super job. You are so polite that, and so you have many different ways to communicate those positive feedback. It's not necessarily say good job, right? It's a mixture of, so I recognize you are doing a good job. I'm proud of you. And I want you to know that. And you also want to praise very specific things. So here's an example, like if parents know about growth mindset, they also, Carol Dweck's theory about growth mindset, they also talk about like when parents praise on very specific things, and we showed kids that kids can grow and develop on those skills, and then kids do better. And instead of praise on like, good job, you are getting all A's on your report card. I know this is the end of marking period A. So you might see their grades and say, great job, you are getting all A's. Or say, terrible job, you are getting 2B. Why did you get B? Right? It's better to praise very specifically. Like, I know that you get really good, you did good on this essay, that final paper, whatever. Then you can say, like, I really like how hard you are doing this research. Like, my daughter was searching, she's 7 and she's doing a search on presidential election. I say, I was so proud of you to be able to figure out how to do that search on Google. And so that you are showing them that you recognize for their effort and the process, they are curious and they are doing this work, but not the final product. Sometimes we do say, good job getting A's, and that's okay, but you want to balance it out. You want to praise more on the process, on the effort, on the strategy they use, because those are things they have control over, and they have a little bit less control over the grade. And so if you praise on the process, praise on the strategy, praise on the curiosity, then they will do more of that. And then when they are older, then they go to college, those curiosity strategies will stay with them, and that will help them more than you only praise them for getting A's. Thank you, everyone. And I'm leaving my email here in the chat box. Sorry, I think so that's my email, and feel free to contact me. And on my website, you can also see some recording from my other talks. And so if you, sorry, finding the chat box, and you can type in the bullying. I'm providing a search term for if you go to my lab website, you can see some recording of my other talks in the past and the slides. Thank you very much, everyone. I know our time is up, and there are some other very interesting talks for Good Neighbor Day, and feel free to join the next talk at 11 o'clock and in this afternoon. Thank you very much, and hope everyone enjoy a good weekend and have a different perspective on COVID. And best wishes to you all.
Thanks.